Hello everybody, welcome to a new video. In this video I'll be showcasing a full lightning upgrade to the arc build I've done before, for the Sorceress of course and the Stormweaver. So we've changed up quite a lot of things and I'm still playing around with it a little bit, but I think it's really nice and I want to show you guys what you can build into in the mid game. Of course in the end game there's going to be some changes, but it's going to be great. Let's go right into it for the skill gems. Orb of Storms, we're not using this all too much, but it is quite nice to put down on bosses because they are static a lot of the time. You can put down one more with the +1 limit of overabundance. Coursing Currents just for more shock, because you want to get shock as much as possible. We have a lot of shock magnitude in there as well. Electrocute is really building up the electrocution, which is quite nice. Mana Tempest, less cost and also more damage. Because we still are using this if we are arcing from a range. This is still really nice to make arc go up just a little bit more damage. Ball Lightning is really good for your Lightning Warp. This is what we mainly use for the AoE. So instead of just using Orb of Storms and arc, really using that Ball Lightning and Lightning Warp where you can just warp around all of the place. It's very fun to do. And we still even have one more slot that we can fill up in here. But we're still playing around with that for now. Ball Lightning, we will want Unleash. So you get even more Ball Lightnings. More cast speed is something I have on there right now. You don't really need this, but you're gonna cast this. You need to cast this for your Lightning Warp, so it is quite nice that you can just cast it faster. There is a nice tier 3 support gem in there, but I don't have those yet. Then we also have Scatter Shot, so you have 2 additional every time you cast. This is great. You don't really care about the damage of Ball Lightning. It's very little anyway. You just care about it for your Lightning Warp. More area of effect. It will also cast the Shocking Grounds. Will also have more area of effect. And then also the Soul Drain for more mana regen. Especially if you have Archmage later on, it's going to cost a lot of mana. This mana regen is just going to help a lot. And what the thing is about the Lightning Warp, you just want to cast as many Ball Lightnings or just 1 or 2 waves. Typically it's just 2 casts. And then just hold your right click, which is going to be your Mana Warp. And then you just Mana Warp all over the place. And it does AoE damage. And the lower the enemies are, the more damage you will do with the Mana Warp as well. Conductivity, just for more... reduce delay and it's just more effect duration. That's just going to be your minus 35% lightning res, great for extra damage. Mana Remnants is actually very good. I don't have cast on shock or cast on freeze or anything. I tried cast on shock and it's really not that useful. It's a shame because the shock you deal with your shocking grounds is actually doesn't count towards your cast on shock. It's only if you are literally shocking the enemies by doing damage with them, and then that is triggering the shock. So sadly, it doesn't really work that well and we don't use that. But for now, we just use Mana Remnants with Mana Regen and Health Regen. So that's Clarity and Vitality. This is very nice. Just if you're dashing around, teleporting, warping between enemies, you will get a lot of mana back, which will help a lot with mana problems. So this is a very important one. Then get Clarity and then Vitality if you have some Spirit left over. Which you kind of should at this point. There's 2 bosses that give you Spirit, one in Act 1 and one in Act 3. You should have done those. Anyway, for arc, this is still our bread and butter from range. I usually don't use this too much, only if there's like a boss that's doing a huge attack and I don't want to teleport in there. It can be a bit clunky, so I took back arc. It's very nice still. You can get just more damage without critical hits because we don't have that much crit chance, to be honest. Only like a 10% crit chance on there if I don't have this on. I think, yeah, 9%. So it doesn't really matter. It's only like a 10% damage increase. A 30% damage increase from Control Destruction is a lot better. This is just nice. Lightning Resistance, Penetration, also nice. You don't have to do anything else. You just have to do this. And also a little bit even more damage for that little bit of cast speed. We're getting a lot of cast speed in this build anyway. So this is quite nice just for the extra damage. As you can see, it does a lot of DPS just from casting arc. And it's a very nice single target damage thing. And then for our finisher, our ultimate, that's why it's an R as well, if any of you play League. So this is their ultimate, and it can be buffed even more with that 100% increased critical hit damage, a little bit more area damage. It will be a little bit shorter, 7 meters. It's quite a bit short, but you need to find out what the range is, and then you can just play with it. And then even more critical damage bonus together with the critical hit chance. It's just, I think it's like a 8%. But together with these two, it is 16% once you actually cast it. And this crit quite nicely. And it can insta-kill elites. And it can just deal a lot of damage to bosses as well. It doesn't seem like it does much damage at all. It does even less damage than one arc. But it gains 100% increased damage per 5% shock effect. We have 35% plus 2 times shock. That's 70%. which means you can get like a, I think 14 times damage buff, which is, this can deal quite a bit of damage, especially if it crits. Yeah, this is just hitting for bricks. So this is quite nice, and you'll be able to apply shock a lot with your Lightning Warp and the shock grounds. So if you do this, shock grounds, and then also conductivity, you can get a huge lightning conduit on it. Of course, you are quite vulnerable when you're doing the lightning conduit, but it is just a very satisfying pop when you do it. So that's it for the skill gems. For items, we're quickly gonna go over. +2 spell lightning is also amazing. If you can get that, great. +2 lightning is also just great. I don't have anything else that's really that good, so I currently have a staff. I would advise to do a wand and focus, but if you get a staff, that's even better. Just pop a staff in there. I did the same thing, but I think you can just get a lot more stats and a lot more good stats from a wand and focus, also for survivability and just plus mana and stuff. And it's easier to upgrade. If it's only one that you can upgrade, then it's fine. For your helmet, just energy shield. To be honest, once you're in the mid game, you can get a little bit better gear, but I haven't really dropped many exalted, and I'm really trying to get a specific unique ring that costs like 10 exalted. So yeah, that's gonna be a difficult one. Energy shield for all of the items, to be honest, when you can get that. Movement speed for your boots, it's very nice. I will try to include a written guide or just like a build planner in this one, but it probably won't be up when I upload the video. I just want to upload this as fast as possible, and then later on I'll also upload that build planner. Probably on Sunday I'll just put that on there. And for your rings, I would say +2 mana is very important. The cast speed is pretty decent, but you also want to get your resistance, because my resistance are pretty bad and it's very noticeable. Here 5, 8 and 32. Get that out of my face. It's very bad. You really want to get that resistance on your rings, but usually once you get to the resistance, you need to get like +5 or +6 on your rares, but I don't really have that many exalted orbs, so I can't really do that right now. Especially on all of the items, just try to get plus mana. And then for the runes as well, just a 20% increased energy shield for your gear is also very nice. Plus mana, great. Just because you're going to run out of mana, and later on with Archmage, it's also really nice. Plus energy shield, really good. And that health also really helps. I think there's even one other stat I might be forgetting now that I'm saying that's also really nice on there. But to be honest, well, plus life is just great, but that's not it. Get your resistance, get +2 mana, get +2 energy shield, and get your resistances. I think those are just the most important things about your gear. Then our huge passive first, that is the passive tree. I did some changes since last video. Sorry if you had to respec some things because of that. I didn't put any more of these points into this. I actually went more to the right. So I did get all of these with just extra mana. It's great. But I recently got these things that increase the magnitude of the shock you inflict. This is just so your lightning conduit does more damage. Later on, I do want to get something of a maybe a cast on freeze with a unique ring. There's a ring that changes every of your lightning damage to cold damage, so you can actually do the cast on freeze stuff. Then lightning conduit becomes a lot better, but that's something later on. A build I've seen, I will add it in the description as well of the build I've seen. That's what I want to build towards, but this is kind of the budget version right now because I don't have that ring. Anyway, magnitude of shock is really good. Just extra mana regen, energy shield, and an intelligence. Also really nice. Work your way up here and then go towards to the right, and where you can get not only lightning damage per intelligence, but also more magnitude of the shock you inflict. Also more shock duration and chance to shock. All great. A little bit more intelligence right here that you can get, and then even more spell damage per mana. This is why getting mana is also great. To the right, you can get a little bit of jewels. I don't really have that many good jewels, but this is a good jewel I got by chance, but this is a pretty shitty one that I got by chance as well. Increased lightning damage, great. Just increased cast speed as well. This is really an increase like cast speed with 20%, so it's quite noticeable to get in this tree. And then I went to the left, and now I'm gonna get more of that increased effect of Arcane Surge. That's just also very nice. I've noticed, because I don't have that much mana, my Ascendancies, it is actually more worth it to grab this, strike twice, than it is to grab the Force of Will. Just because, what am I getting, like 60% increase or whatever? It's not really that worth it if it's only a 60% increase of Arcane Surge. That's like a, let's look at the Arcane Surge. 60% increase is 6% cast speed and like 12% mana regen rate. That's not that good. But this, 50% or like 35% extra damage, that's great. And also your Lightning Conduit would just do a lot more damage. So I first went to Arcane Surge and then with the Strike Twice, but to be honest, if I would do it again, I might actually get Strike Twice first and then Arcane Surge. I don't know. You can play around with that a little bit just to see. It is very expensive, but I would say just play around with it a little bit. And as for the order in which you get things, as I've said before, you can go into here, just get that extra intelligence. I would say getting the casting speed in the beginning is very nice, just going there. And you can also get some +5 dexterity for some of the stuff. And then going up here for that extra increased intelligence, lightning damage per intelligence. More intelligence over here. Increased magnitude over here is just a nice thing to get. Especially if you're struggling with survivability, really go into this right place a lot quicker. And then later on with that increased effect of Arcane Surge is quite nice to get. And this one, I haven't been too sure. I do have a lot of energy shield right now, but I didn't before. So I will get these points as well. But as you can see, I have these 2 points and these 2 points that I really will need to get quickly. And then I'll be a lot stronger as well. I think that is it for the most part. Other tips I can give. Yeah, weapon swapping. There is a bit of a weapon swapping tech you can do. You can even, in the spells, you can even select like certain weapons that you can do. With conductivity, it is quite nice if you have something, or maybe if you have like Sigil of Power, then you can do the weapon swapping. But to be honest, in the mid game, I haven't done that much of this stuff yet. But always be sure to get some gold. Sell some of your rares, don't disenchant them all. Just sell some of them so you can get some gold, so you can play around with these stats a little bit, as I've done before as well. Which destatting my whole left side just to go a little bit more into that magnitude side is quite satisfying for those instant bobs. And on the left side, there's a lot of things you can get here, which are also quite nice, which is increased effect duration. Oh no, not actually. Increased damage if you critical hit recently, and also just more res and damage in general. These are just nice notes to get, so you can go in here and go do that, or do this and then get that. Those are just 2 nice ways to do, and there's just quite a few notes in here that are quite nice. If you have some other points laying around, go in here and just get that increased energy shield for just more survivability. I think that's it for overall tips, tricks, and other things. I would like to thank you guys for watching, and yeah, that's about it. See you in the next video. Ciao.